8 Reasons Why Empaths Secretly Hate Narcissists. Have you ever found yourself in the presence of someone who can't stop talking about themselves, dominating every conversation, and leaving you feeling emotionally drained afterward? If you're an empath, you may have experienced this situation more than once, and you're probably familiar with the unsettling feeling that lingers after interacting with a narcissist. At first glance, narcissists can appear charming, confident, and alluring. But there's a dark side to these individuals that leaves empaths in a state of emotional turmoil. Empaths are people who possess a unique ability to deeply feel and understand the emotions of others. They are naturally compassionate, intuitive, and sensitive to the emotional states around them. Narcissists, on the other hand, are driven by a constant need for admiration, validation, and power. These two personality types, seemingly at opposite ends of the emotional spectrum, often find themselves entangled in relationships that can feel overwhelmingly draining for the empath. So why is it that empaths secretly hate narcissists? It's not a hatred of the person themselves, but rather a deep frustration and emotional exhaustion caused by the toxic dynamics that inevitably arise in these relationships. Let's break down the key reasons why empaths find themselves resenting narcissists, even though they may try to maintain a peaceful coexistence. 1. The narcissist's need for constant attention drains the empath's energy. One of the most exhausting aspects of being around a narcissist is their insatiable need for constant attention and validation. Narcissists thrive on admiration and praise, often expecting those around them to revolve entirely around their needs, desires, and feelings. Their craving for attention is not a casual preference. It is a deep-seated requirement for their sense of self-worth. Without constant reinforcement of their perceived greatness, narcissists feel empty, insignificant, and, in some cases, even enraged. For the empath, this perpetual demand for attention can feel like an overwhelming emotional burden. Empaths, by nature, are highly tuned to the emotions of others and are typically empathetic listeners who derive fulfillment from providing emotional support. They thrive in relationships where they can offer care, validation, and understanding, and where there is a natural exchange of mutual empathy. However, when paired with a narcissist, the empath's role often shifts into that of a perpetual audience. Instead of engaging in a balanced exchange of thoughts and feelings, the empath is constantly expected to listen to the narcissist's monologues about their own achievements, opinions, and desires, often at the expense of their own emotional needs. Narcissists don't just want attention, they need it in a way that demands total emotional energy from those around them. They have an almost magnetic ability to dominate every conversation, shifting the focus away from others and onto themselves. Whether it's recounting their latest triumphs, complaining about perceived slights, or bragging about their importance, the narcissist expects the empath to provide unwavering attention. This behavior can feel suffocating to an empath, who begins to feel like they are invisible or unimportant. Over time, this constant need for validation leaves the empath emotionally drained. Empaths often put others first, but when their emotional reserves are depleted, they begin to feel resentment toward the narcissist. The empath may try to remain patient and compassionate, but the endless cycle of attention seeking by the narcissist prevents them from recharging or addressing their own needs. The narcissist's egocentric demands create a toxic imbalance in the relationship, leaving the empath with nothing but emotional exhaustion. The more the empath gives, the more the narcissist takes, until the empath is left feeling empty, invisible, and emotionally burned out. 2. Emotional manipulation and gaslighting. A significant reason why empaths secretly despise narcissists is the emotional manipulation and gaslighting that often characterize their relationships. Narcissists have an exceptional ability to twist reality, creating confusion and self-doubt in others, especially empaths. Gaslighting, a manipulative tactic used by narcissists, involves making someone question their perceptions, memories, and even their own emotional responses. This psychological abuse leaves the empath feeling uncertain, vulnerable, and overwhelmed. Narcissists are masters of distortion. They will take an event, conversation, or argument and manipulate it to fit their narrative. When something goes wrong, they rarely take responsibility. Instead, they shift the blame onto the empath, using tactics like guilt tripping or subtly accusing them of being unreasonable. For instance, if the empath expresses frustration over the narcissist's behavior, the narcissist might turn the situation around, making the empath feel like they are the problem. They may even claim that the empath is too sensitive or overreacting, further invalidating the empath's emotions. This constant undermining is especially damaging to empaths, who are naturally in tune with others' feelings. Because empaths tend to be deeply compassionate, they often second-guess themselves when conflict arises. Narcissists exploit this trait, leading the empath to feel responsible for things they did not cause. They use gaslighting techniques, denial, minimization, and false accusations to distort the empath's sense of reality, making them question their own thoughts and emotions. For the empath, this creates a cycle of emotional turmoil, as they constantly try to make sense of the narcissist's behavior while grappling with feelings of guilt and confusion. In this dynamic, the empath becomes trapped in a confusing loop of self-doubt and frustration. The narcissist, meanwhile, continues to play the role of the innocent victim, further cementing their control over the empath. The more the narcissist manipulates, the less the empath feels capable of trusting their own instincts. This manipulation is not only mentally draining but also leaves the empath feeling powerless, isolated, and emotionally defeated, while the narcissist walks away with more power and control. 3. The narcissist's lack of authenticity. Narcissists often wear a mask of likability and charm, particularly in the early stages of a relationship. They know how to play to the empath's desire for connection and affection, making them appear caring, supportive, and genuine. However, beneath this facade, narcissists lack the emotional depth and authenticity that empaths crave in relationships. For the empath, authenticity is crucial. They thrive on genuine emotional connections, and when someone pretends to care just to get something in return, it feels like a betrayal. Narcissists often manipulate the empath's feelings, pretending to be the perfect partner, friend, or colleague, only to reveal their true intentions later. The empath may feel as if they've been deceived, and this sense of betrayal can be devastating. The narcissist, on the other hand, continues to play their role, caring only for what they can extract from the relationship. 4. Constant undermining and competition. While empaths are naturally supportive and non-competitive, narcissists often view others as threats to their own sense of superiority. Narcissists believe that they are better than everyone else, and they are quick to undermine or belittle anyone they perceive as competition. For empaths, who prefer to lift others up rather than tear them down, this behavior is deeply unsettling. Narcissists may subtly, or not so subtly, belittle the empath's accomplishments, ideas, or emotions. They might take credit for the empath's hard work or attempt to overshadow their achievements in an effort to maintain their sense of dominance. The empath, who is typically selfless and humble, finds it difficult to navigate this constant undermining, and over time, it wears them down emotionally. Narcissists thrive on being the center of attention and will do whatever it takes to ensure they remain in the spotlight, even at the expense of others. 5. Blatant disrespect for boundaries. Empaths are often sensitive to the emotional needs and boundaries of others, but narcissists have little regard for anyone else's boundaries. They expect others to cater to their needs at all times and will often push past limits without hesitation. Whether it's demanding attention at inconvenient times, disregarding personal space, or overstepping emotional boundaries, narcissists don't seem to understand, or care, that empaths need time and space to recharge. This lack of respect for boundaries can be incredibly frustrating for an empath. When an empath sets a boundary, they expect it to be honored. However, narcissists view boundaries as something to be ignored or manipulated for their own benefit. This constant violation of boundaries creates a toxic dynamic where the empath feels powerless and resentful. But the narcissist remains oblivious to the harm they're causing. 6. The narcissist's sense of entitlement. Narcissists believe they are entitled to special treatment and believe that others should always prioritize their needs over their own. This sense of entitlement can manifest in a variety of ways, from expecting others to drop everything to cater to their desires, to treating people like they exist solely for the narcissist's benefit. For an empath, who is used to giving and caring for others, this sense of entitlement is particularly grating. Empaths often put the needs of others before their own. But when a narcissist expects the same without offering anything in return, it can feel like emotional exploitation. Narcissists take, while the empath gives, often with little or no appreciation. Over time, this imbalance causes the empath to feel used and unappreciated, leading to deep frustration and resentment. 7. The narcissist's emotional coldness. One of the most painful aspects of dealing with a narcissist is their inability to empathize with others. Narcissists are emotionally cold and detached, often unable or unwilling to genuinely care about anyone else's feelings. While empaths thrive on emotional connections and have an innate desire to understand and support others, narcissists lack this capacity. They may pretend to care, but their empathy is superficial at best. This emotional coldness creates a vast gap between the empath and the narcissist. The empath pours their heart and soul into the relationship, while the narcissist remains emotionally distant and self-absorbed. The empath craves deep emotional connection, but the narcissist only offers empty gestures and superficial affection. This disconnect leaves the empath feeling lonely and unfulfilled, despite their best efforts to make the relationship work. 8. The cycle of love bombing and devaluation. One of the most insidious behaviors of narcissists is the cycle of love bombing and devaluation. In the beginning, narcissists will shower the empath with affection, praise, and attention. This is known as love bombing. They create an illusion of an ideal, perfect relationship, making the empath feel like they are the most important person in the world. The empath, overwhelmed by this intense attention, becomes emotionally invested in the relationship. However, once the narcissist feels secure in their control, the devaluation begins. The narcissist starts to withdraw affection, criticize the empath, and make them feel insignificant. The empath, confused and hurt, is left wondering what went wrong. The narcissist may even gaslight them, making them doubt their own perceptions of the relationship. This cycle of emotional highs and lows keeps the empath hooked, but it ultimately leads to feelings of frustration, resentment, and betrayal. So, why do empaths secretly hate narcissists? The answer lies in the toxic dynamics that arise when these two personality types come into contact. Narcissists demand constant attention, manipulate emotions, disrespect boundaries, and lack the emotional depth that empaths need to thrive in relationships. Over time, this creates an unhealthy and exhausting dynamic where the empath is drained, frustrated, and emotionally unfulfilled. The narcissist, oblivious to the harm they're causing, continues to take without giving, leaving the empath with nothing but emotional exhaustion. If you're an empath who finds yourself caught in a toxic relationship with a narcissist, it's important to set boundaries and protect your emotional well-being. Recognize the patterns of narcissistic behavior and take steps to distance yourself from the negativity. Empaths deserve relationships that are mutually supportive, authentic, and emotionally fulfilling. And most importantly, remember that you have the power to break free from the grip of narcissistic manipulation.